Hello everybody, Caventia here, and I've just booted up the ePTU build 322 for the first time, and can I just say how beautiful this background is? But what are the new features in 322? Hair. Oh dear, oh dear, oh. Well, one of the ones I'm most excited for is actually the changes to Arena Commander. You can have multiple slots for ships. So let's say I want to learn in the Gladius, but I also enjoy racing the Archimedes. Maybe I want to try the Arrow. You can put up to 4 ships in your slots. Let's get onto the meat. Make a character real quick. Oh, do we have the new hair? Oh, that's looking better. And it doesn't like clip through the back of the neck finally. Wow, look at that lustrous hair. Oh, that's cool. Okay, we got the faux hawk. Watch this bounce that. Boing. This is the anime protagonist. Oh, that's cute. Oh, I like how that spins. Look at that. It's the limited selection of colours. Anyway, I'm going to keep making my character. Just a quick reminder, before you end up starting an account on PTU or ePTU, erase your account, make sure that you've got an email, and then copy your account to PTU. This will clear any previously saved data, however it will ensure that you have the most up-to-date data such as pledges, etc. For this version of the game, you may want to consider starting in Lorville. The advantage of Hurston is that it's at a relatively central location in the system, but you also have access to Tammany and Sons, where you can pick up all of your basics like the life-giving Lux, Pyro multi-tools, tractor beam attachments. The Max Lift tractor beam does in fact now have its own tractor beam battery, as well as a variety of undersuits and a reasonable selection of armors. But the main reason you may want to consider Lorville is because after making your way through customs to the spaceport, you'll have access to the new deal, where you can quickly get access to the Drake Vulture, which you can use to test out the new salvage mechanics. Turns out many people don't know that the Drake Vulture has a VTOL mode. By pressing K, you get a little bit of extra upthrust. It's also the closest spawn location to her L5 High Core Station, which is where you can purchase the Atlas Quantum Drive. This is totally optional, of course, but it will end up making the most out of your limited quantum fuel while still traveling at a reasonable speed. That's the 30k, isn't it? The good news is, after the 30k, it logged me into her L5, which is where I was coming to land. Unfortunately, 30k protection did not store my Vulture. I feel like the UI has had a bit of a tweak, because it seems to be much smoother and cleaner and sharper. If there was only one item I'd upgrade on the Vulture, it would be the Quantum Drive. Okay, so far so normal. I don't really notice much, if any, difference on the interior of the rear. Back over at Hurston, let's grab our first salvage mission, Drake Cutter, her L4. Okay, so you still press M for salvage mode. 0.1 out of 14 SCU. Well, 14 SCU is 14 times larger than the container used to be. Yeah, there's not a lot of salvage on this, to be honest. Kind of damaged. And I'm guessing that 14 SCU is the buffer they were talking about on the patch notes. The hull scraping's all well and good, but what we really want to see is the bit that pulls it all apart, right? Focus tool fracture, left Alt and W. Oh, okay. Well, that's different. It says fracturing, but I'm not very close to it. Oh, guess it doesn't need to be close to it. Okay, so it bops it into lots of little pieces. If I right click, I guess this is in collecting mode. Let's try and collect the smaller bit first, I guess. If I click. Oh, I don't even need to be next to it. Oh, and it's doing that one now as well. You know, I thought that you would have to be next to it in order to do this, but I guess not. It just kind of sucks it in from a distance. I mean, the effects are cool, don't get me wrong. Sound effects are cool, visual effects are cool. Okay, so all of these are new controls. That pull the ship apart process did pull in a heck of a lot more SCU than just the hull scraping. So not only do you have the RMC, recycled material composite, that's the stuff that you scrape off of the hull, but you also have construction materials, and that is what the the main chassis of the vehicle is made up from. It ended up taking us, I'd say, less than a quarter of the time to get almost 6 SCU of construction materials, whereas it took 4 times as long to get 1 SCU of recycled materials. Now, perhaps that was initially a bad example because the ship that we came across had very little hull material on it. The crafting costs are a little bit different because you have to use a combination of construction materials and RMC in order to craft things. So let's make ourselves a multi-tool and let's make ourselves a tractor beam attachment. I think the values for these crafting is now much more fair. You used to have to use up an insane amount of recycled material composite to craft a tractor beam. This seems much more balanced. So let's eject one of these. And it's now saying that the internal storage is 5 out of 14. This is our first 1 SCU of construction material. I assume that this is going to be used in base building, along with a whole host of other craftables that we may get in the future. Oh, we now have tons of salvage contracts available. Let's try and hoover up something much bigger. Right, let's grab a Corsair. Well, the good news is that this Corsair looks absolutely pristine condition, so we can get a better idea of how much RMC you get from scraping it, and that's a much better rate. And you can see that RMC amount ticking up much faster than it was before. Yeah, much better rates on the hull, up to 2 CSCUs per second. Okay, we got 7. Let's switch into super duper braking mode and see what kind of distance this works from. Okay, so what you may need to do, if you've got a moving ship, is grab it with the tractor beam, and once you've got it holding still, then you go into fracturing mode. Even though the indicators make it look like fracturing would work from 80 meters, it definitely looks happier at a distance of about 40 meters. Each piece gives you an approximate value of how much construction material you can get from it. For example, these 2 pieces will give 5.3 SCU, which you can grab from 30 to 50 meters away, depending on which readout you're reading. Actually, this one gives an extra 3.1 SCU. There we go. And because of that, my filler station is now full, meaning I need to go to the back and eject it. This is a massive upgrade from what it used to be, which is that every time you had 2 SCU worth of cargo, you needed to come down here with your tractor beam in order to move them. I've put it on auto eject. I'm going to see if moving this one out the way will spit out the second one. Now this area is clear. I'm hoping that it'll know to spit out another one. Oh, it does! Oh, that's good! Oh, that's so much better. So it just empties the buffer, and by the time you've got your boxes placed where you want them to be, the next box will be more or less ready. This is a huge improvement on how the Vulture works. Previously, to use the Vulture, it kind of felt like you needed a crew of 1.5. Half a person to be down here and occasionally move boxes, and 1 person to continue doing the salvage. This is a huge improvement to how the Vulture works, and I think there'll be many happy Vulture owners. Now, where the Vulture may fall short is this giant piece of Corsair is actually 63.5 SCU worth of construction material. Now, this is way more than I actually have space for, whereas the Reclaimer, I believe, now has an SCU buffer of like 700. So there's a real reason to actually use the Reclaimer over the Vulture now. On the right hand side here, you can see that it says targets in field exceed available space in depot. I believe you can still collect this, it just means you'll lose all of that overflow. So in this scenario, we'll take approximately the 13.5, meaning approximately 50 SCU worth of this stuff is going to go to waste. Yeah, it's working. This little meter here is what indicates whether it's working or not. And you start to get the particle effects around it. I really quite like how they did the visuals on this. There we go, and all we got is that little mush and the rest goes to waste. And my filler station is full. Let's go land and sell this and see how much money we made. And while we're en route, we can grab a few more boxes, as I assume we can only sell from the cargo grid and not the buffer or depot itself. For anyone who wants to know how to fully, and I mean fully, take advantage of the Vulture's cargo space, I'll leave a video in the top corner there for you. Not too bad for our first run. Now let's go see what it sells for. Let's store it, because we don't trust 30k protection. and head over to the business district for a quick sale. RMC still sells for about 7.7k. Oh, so I can't sell the construction materials here. Where do I sell these then? It turns out that you should be able to sell the construction material at the spaceports. So I'm going to try and get a sale done at Everest Harbour. One hop, skip and jump, and a brief ship storage later. And unfortunately, under cannot sell, we have the construction materials. So I've heard that it was at the admin terminals of ArcCorp and New Babbage, but there might be some demand issues. So first of all, we're going to try Bikini Point. Cannot sell. Why can't I sell it? Where do I sell it? Maybe it's the commodity terminals on the planet rather than the TDD terminals. So let's try good old Area 18. Store, wait for the train, contemplate life choices, strip half naked so you can run faster. Now, it's not TDD. This is where you sell recycled material composite. If we're in luck, it's going to be in this building at these commodity shops. Come on, please. No demand. Okay, so this is the right place. There's just no demand right now. That's not entirely surprising because everybody is doing this game loop right now. But what we can do is get a rough idea of the value and rounding down a bit in case you're not quite so good at shoving boxes in the back of a Vulture. Let's say 20 SCU at 12,500 each. And although this on my first run took me about an hour, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that you could get that in about half an hour. Meaning this gameplay loop is probably in the region of 500,000 AUEC per hour, providing there's demand. Yep, still no demand. One last trip. And quite frankly, if I'm not able to sell this time, then I'm just going to give up and check out the Reclaimer. No demand. Okay, I'm going to have a check on Spectrum because there is nowhere I can find where to sell this stuff, and that's really disappointing. I read that somebody managed to sell theirs at one of the No Questions Asked terminals, so let's try that. Fortunately, there is a No Questions Asked terminal in Microtech system, and it's called Devlin Scrap and Salvage over on Euterpe. I mean, with this being a scrap place, I guess it makes sense that you could sell them here. Cannot sell. I give up. I can't find anywhere to sell this stuff. It's either no demand or you just can't sell it. Let's go see how the Reclaimer works for what it's worth. I was hopeful. I was thinking, you know what? This is scrap. I mean, this place is literally called Devlin Scrap and Salvage. I thought, you know, maybe you could sell it here. I guess that would be too logical. You could sell salvage stuff at the place that's called Salvage. Last hope. Port Tressler.
Everything good?
Nope. Finally! Okay, Port Tressler is the only place I've managed to sell this. A little over 12.5k for one, meaning we're looking at over 250,000 AUEC per run. And if you can find a place that's in demand, you can do a run, I'm sure, in half an hour. This has taken me well over an hour just to find somewhere you can sell the dang stuff. I guess it is in demand sometimes at some locations. I'm so glad I managed to close that loop. That took so much longer than I was expecting. Let's check out the Reclaimer. Now hopefully I've got all of the teething problems out of the way, it's time to try this beastie with its brand new, somewhat more monstrous claw. I hope we get to see that thing working. Churning and chomping, but I have a feeling it might just be more hoovering up. We'll see. The front elevator can sometimes be kind of murderous. This elevator is slightly less murderous. Habitation deck, please. Oh, it does feel suitably chunky and industrial, doesn't it? Make our way around the kitchen. Maybe we should put some supplies out here. Life-giving lux. I'm just going to grab the next salvage contract. I've got salvage contracts all the way up to C2s, so I'm going to grab that. See if I can find you in the hangar. I see an ant off in the distance. Actually, you're right near the back elevator. That's kind of handy.
That's where you went in?
Yeah. By the way, I've got completely new controls. Hopefully I won't kill us.
Tell me after I get on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Told you before you might not get on. Now it's too late.
Right?
I don't remember it being this easy to take off before. I'm certain it wasn't this easy to take off from Lawville before. We're off to try and find that C2. I didn't even check where it was. Sadly, I haven't upgraded the quantum drive on this. It's stock, so journey times are going to be colossally long. Oh yeah, no, it's struggling to get out of atmosphere. Yeah, that's how I remember it. We're going 100 meters per second. Yeah, well boosting. We're 5 clicks out from the target now. We're first of all going to do a bit of hull stripping. Then we're going to go for the be munching with the claw. It's really hard to judge the scale and size of this thing. Just make sure you can get to the nose.
Yes, I'm at the nose.
Okay, looks like power's top left. Oh wow, we're getting over 5 SCU per second with this. This is so much faster than it is on the Vulture. So although it appeared to have a buffer of 360 SCU per side, it's actually a shared buffer between both of the machines, which is a crazy huge amount actually. The Vulture by comparison has 14. Now the Reclaimer's really going to have an advantage over the Vulture. That being said, if there's the demand, you can make 500,000 AUEC per hour with the Vulture. It is kind of therapeutic. Very chill. So now that we've grabbed ourselves at least 16 SCU worth of recycled material composite, my friend there from Seven Hills is helping me. He's carrying on salvaging on the outside while I check out and get some first impressions of these. Holy moly. I kind of knew that the boxes were going to be twice as big, and so this would have to be twice as tall and twice as wide, but this is a hell of an upgrade from the Vulture-sized machine that we had in before. Okay, choosing this option does not last very long, so you might need to ask the person in the front to stop. Hey, Candy.
Yes.
Would you mind just stopping salvaging for a second? In 16 seconds, it will fill up a 16 SU on one side. So unfortunately, I missed the moment where this was spat out of the machine. It looks like there's loads of space here for the recycled material composite. Unfortunately, it appears that the cargo hold is only really designed for the smaller boxes, meaning the only floor that you could actually put this on is the salvage processing floor. Seems like a bit of a design issue. That's what we're here for. We're here to test, to try new things, to see what works and see what doesn't. Fortunately, it does snap to here. This is the area where you want to put your 16 SCU recycled material composite. Candy, do you mind stopping just for a sec and I'll spit out an 8 SCU?
Yep.
Thank you. You should be able to continue on salvaging now. Oh, that is quite satisfying, watching the boxes come out. So for science, let's see if the 2x2 actually fits onto the cargo grid downstairs. So if you want to use this bottom area, the largest that you can fit here appear to be 8 SCU. It's the first time I've ever used the claw and I'm kind of excited for it. I guess I hit M. I'm deploying. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh. That looks really close. Oh, it's deployed into the ship. I feel like I'm a little too close. I just totally penetrated that ship. It's doing it. It's doing it. Okay, that's cool looking. That's really cool looking. Very purple and sparkly. There it is. Oh, there we go. Okay, that broke into a bunch of chunks, but not as many as I thought it would be. That chunk of C2 alone, it's going to be grabbing, is more than our entire buffer. I'm getting some space sparkles going on. Because actually, our buffer capacity is enough to basically hoover up almost the entire thing of this ship, so all of this magical disintegrated space dust should get hoovered up into the claw. It's a lot of build-up. There she blows! Oh, it's such a shame that I couldn't see it actually, like, disappear into the claw. But, I mean, it worked. Don't get me wrong, the claw is really, really cool looking. I'm just a little bit disappointed that it's not more physical in its interaction. It's like, let's make some magical energy field and make the thing happen at a distance, rather than it necessarily like grabbing a hold of things and taking chunks out of stuff. I think that was always what I envisioned for the claw, but maybe this is just the next tier of implementation. Maybe later versions will have some more physical interactions with the claw. So what we can do is we can go construction materials, 16 SCU, and then we hit eject, and if we hit auto eject, then when one's done, it'll spit out another one, like this. You know, it should have had sound effects. I don't know why it hasn't got sound effects. This is so much quicker than it used to be when you had the 1 SCU boxes being spat out by the machines. You see, although this is wide enough to fit 2 here, it's not wide enough to fit another one on a grid here. There we go, that's fine. Who needs a grid? You don't need a grid. Right, now at this point we should probably stop getting the 16s because they don't snap to the grid downstairs. So let's turn auto eject off on this one, let's turn auto eject off on this one, and then we can change to 8 SCU because we've run out of space for the 16 SCUs. And now we want it to auto eject the 8 SCUs. Oh, by the way, if you take the elevator while you're in quantum, whatever you do, don't get off it or you might be abandoned in space in the middle of nowhere. Wow, 2 SCU boxes look so tiny. After moving all the 16s around, it's like a baby. Yeah, you're doing a good job.
I hate that. Oh,
She's heavy. She's
yeah.
heavy.
Yes, she's heavy.
Ooh, you're good. You're still good. We're still good. We're still good.
Landing complete my ass.
Well, part of us is on the ground. I think.
All right, we're down.
I think you did it.
Oh man.
So if there was the demand, we would be looking at a little bit over 4 million AUEC. Including travel time for the really slow quantum drive, it only took maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. But it could be a very long time waiting for demand so that we can actually sell this. But I'm going to continue to hang out here and see if we can get the sale. And if you found this video useful, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. It would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and bye-bye. Interestingly, it says Gallant Rifle Battery. That's 30k, isn't it? Such is the nature of PTU testing. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be the best button if it worked? By the way, I apologise for my absolutely awful ship control. I'm currently learning a new setup. So I'm going to try and get a sale done at... Whoa, spinny train. What? That was weird. Am I even going the right way anymore? Huh? Do 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 do. Don't jump. What's happening? IAE isn't on anymore. Why don't they remove the signs? Oops. Oh shoot, 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 shoot. I forgot my controls changed. Sorry about that. I nearly crashed us. That would have been a lot worse.
Put that on the blooper reel.
I will. Yeah, that will go at the end. Come on, demand, we want demand. What do you want? We want demand, demand. Boogie, 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 boogie. We want demand, give us demand. Dancing for demand, it's a demand dance, yeah.